What if I told you that one city in Texas accidentally became America's greatest food inventor, and almost nobody gives it the credit? Not Austin, not San Antonio, not Houston. A teenage boy leaping onto a moving car, a baker whose bread was too thick to fit the toaster, a restaurant owner who watched a little girl at a 7-Eleven and saved his entire business, and a Dallas homemaker who submitted a recipe to a newspaper on a Tuesday morning and accidentally renamed an American dessert. This city invented the drive-in restaurant, the fried onion ring, Texas toast, the chicken fried steak sandwich, the frozen margarita machine, and a chocolate cake that fooled an entire country into thinking it came from Germany. 10 foods, one city, a culinary legacy hiding in plain sight. Let's get into it. Food 1. The drive-in restaurant. We start where we have to start. It's 1921. Jesse G. Kirby is a candy and tobacco merchant in Dallas. He has one theory about Americans, and that theory is about to change the food industry forever. People in automobiles are too lazy to get out of them to eat. On a corner at Fort Worth Pike Road and Chalk Hill Road, Kirby opens the Pig Stand, a restaurant built entirely around the car. He stations teenage boys outside. The moment a vehicle pulls in, they leap onto the running board before the engine even cuts off. Order taken through the window. Food delivered back to the car. The word coined for this maneuver? Car hop. Within 30 months, just the Dallas locations were selling 50,000 pig sandwiches every single week. The chain eventually spread to 130 locations across 9 states. Jesse Kirby didn't just open a restaurant, he invented a format. Every McDonald's drive-through window, every Sonic, every single time you've ordered food without leaving your car, that goes back to one corner in Dallas in 1921, because one man believed Americans were too lazy to park. He was right. Food 2. The fried onion ring. Here's something nobody tells you about great inventions. Most of them are accidents. It's sometime around 1929, a cook at the Pig Stand, the same Dallas chain that had already reinvented how America eats, is prepping onions for hamburgers. Routine work, nothing special. A ring slips, it lands in a bowl of batter sitting on the counter. The cook pulls it out, looks at it for a moment, and does what any sensible person standing next to a vat of hot oil would do. He drops it in. What comes out is crispy, golden, and completely unlike anything on the menu. The kitchen starts making them on purpose. Customers start ordering them by name. The battered onion ring spreads from Dallas to diners and restaurants across the entire country. One of the most quietly revolutionary side dishes in American food history. Born from a moment of total, complete accident. A ring slipped, a cook made a decision, and American food was never the same. Food 3. Texas toast. This is where Royce Haley enters the story. Royce started as a car hop at the Pig Stand at 13 years old. He worked every single job in the building. By the early 1940s, he was running the company, and he had a problem with the bread. He wanted something more substantial, something that could hold up to the food coming off the Pig Stand's flat-top grill. He called the Rainbow Bakery in Dallas and made a simple request: slice it thicker. The bakery complied, the bread arrived, and it was too thick to fit in any of the toasters. Royce Haley didn't send it back. He told the kitchen to butter both sides and lay it flat on the griddle. What came off that surface was something no one had made before. Thick, golden, crispy on the outside, soft in the center. Haley gave it a name to match exactly where it was born. Texas toast, a bakery miscommunication, a quick-thinking manager, and one of the most distinctly Texan foods in existence. Food 4. The chicken fried steak sandwich, and Royce. Haley still wasn't done. Chicken fried steak, a breaded beef cutlet that descended from German Texan schnitzel traditions, had existed in Texas home kitchens for decades. It wasn't new. What the Pig Stand did was put it through their system. The story goes that while the griddle was already hot for the Texas toast, someone laid a breaded cube steak directly on it. When it came off, Royce sandwiched it between 2 thick buttered slices. The chicken fried steak sandwich was born. One man, one restaurant, one address on Chalk Hill Road, drive-in restaurant, fried onion ring, Texas toast, chicken fried steak sandwich. 4 of the most foundational items in American diner culture, all from the same kitchen, all within 20 years of each other. The pig stand didn't just serve food, it invented an entire vocabulary for how Americans eat. Food, 5 Fletcher's, corny dog. Now here's where it gets complicated. In 1942, brothers Neil and Carl Fletcher, two former vaudeville performers who had spent years entertaining crowds at the State Fair of Texas, opened a booth at Fair Park in Dallas. Their product, a hot dog, dipped in cornmeal batter, deep fried, and served on a stick. They called it the corny dog. They claimed it was an original invention. Here's the problem. 3 years earlier, in 1939, a couple named George and Versa Boynton on the Oregon coast had improvised a pancake batter coating for hot dogs when their buns got soaked through in the rain. They coined the name Pronto Pup. They started franchising. The Pronto Pup predates the corny dog by 3 full years. Fletcher's supporters will tell you it doesn't matter. The batter was completely different. A proprietary cornmeal recipe the brothers reportedly spent 12 years perfecting. The model was different too. No franchise, never left Fair Park. And the Smithsonian Institution, after reviewing decades of newspaper records and patent filings, officially concluded that Fletcher's corn dog was a separate and independent invention, not a copy, not an imitation. 2 men, 2 ideas, neither probably knew the other existed. Today, Fletcher's sells over 500,000 corn dogs during the 24 days of the State Fair of Texas alone. The recipe has never changed. For millions of Texans, a Fletcher's corny dog isn't just food, it is the State Fair itself. Food 6, Frito pie. Here is what I want you to understand about Dallas. This city doesn't always invent things from scratch. Sometimes it takes something that already exists, breaks it open, and builds something the world has never tasted before. Frito pie is the perfect example. The Frito chip itself? That came from San Antonio. Charles Doolin invented it there, but Doolin brought the Frito company to Dallas, where it eventually merged with H.W. Lay and Company to become Frito-Lay, headquartered just north of the city. And it was at Frito-Lay's Dallas Test Kitchen in 1949 that the combination of Fritos, chili, and cheese was formally assembled and served at a Dallas Dietetic Association luncheon as a tested, documented recipe. Food 7, German chocolate cake. On June 3, 1957, a Dallas homemaker named Mrs. George Clay submitted a recipe to the Dallas Morning News. It ran in the paper's recipe column under a simple title, German Sweet Chocolate Cake. She didn't invent the chocolate. That was Samuel German, an American baker who developed a sweeter dark baking chocolate for the Walter Baker Company back in 1852. His name became the product, Baker's German's sweet chocolate. For a century, it sat in American kitchens, used occasionally, never fully exploited. Mrs. Clay changed that. Her recipe, a layered chocolate cake topped with a coconut pecan frosting, was something genuinely new. Readers flooded the Dallas Morning News with reprint requests. General Foods, which owned the Baker's brand, took notice and distributed the recipe to newspapers nationwide. Food 8, the frozen margarita machine, May 7, 1971. Mariano Martinez opens Mariano's Mexican Cuisine near Southern Methodist University in Dallas. Opening night, packed restaurant, mariachi band playing, and the margaritas, blended by hand from his father's Teclusi, are flowing. Over 200 ordered that first night alone. The lone bartender stops measuring. Every drink comes out different. By night 2, he threatens to quit. Mariano goes home with no solution. The next morning, he stops at a 7-Eleven for coffee. A little girl's pulling a Slurpee from a machine. He watches her, and it hits him. He buys a second-hand Sanny Serve soft serve machine. Spends days adjusting the sugar content in his father's recipe, so the mixture will freeze into a perfectly consistent slush. On May 11, 1971, he pulls the lever. Food 9, Tex-Mex as a restaurant cuisine. Before Tex-Mex was a cuisine, it was something Mexican-American families cooked at home. Regional adaptations of Mexican dishes using what was available on the Texas side of the border: yellow cheese, flour tortillas, canned tomatoes, ground beef. Dallas built the table the rest of America sat down at. In 1918, Miguel Martinez, a Mexican immigrant, opened a tamale cart in downtown Dallas. He eventually built a full restaurant called El Phoenix on McKinney Avenue. It institutionalized the combination plates cheese enchiladas, and crispy tacos that would come to define American Tex-Mex for generations. In 1940, the Queller family founded El Chico, also in Dallas, Food 10, the State Fair of Texas. And we end with something that isn't a single invention, it's an ongoing one. The State Fair of Texas has been held annually at Fair Park in Dallas since 1886. It is the largest state fair in America,